Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Swanustitat Swadharme Nidanam Sriya Paradharmo Vayavaha. And it says, it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. A key word here is prescribed duties. It's been given to you by Guru Krishna. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness, rather than those prescribed for others. Materially prescribed duties are duties enjoined according to one's psychophysical condition, under the spell of the modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitate another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual platform and duties on the material platform may be different, but the principle of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is nonviolent, whereas a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of nonviolence. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. By a gradual process, not abruptly. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform any and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamrita was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahmana, whereas Parashuram was a Brahmana, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. Being transcendentally situated, they could do so. But as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so having a full sense of Krishna consciousness, and not a partial sense, but a full sense, it means that you understand, number one, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. You don't have this hazy idea that all gods are equal. It's not true. All gods are not equal. So, number one is you have to have absolute faith that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and no one is equal to him, no one is greater than him. So that's basically one of the most important principles of Krishna consciousness. And here it says, at the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. So, number one, of the full sense of Krishna consciousness is to know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. No one is equal to him. No one is greater than him. Okay. And everything Krishna does is transcendental and pure. For example, people always give the example of Vali, and they're trying to find something wrong with Krishna, and they always try and say, well, why did he kill Vali? Vali wasn't his enemy. In fact, Vali told him, look, why are you hiding behind a tree with your bow and arrow ready to kill me? I didn't do anything to you. And if you, cooperate with me, I'll make sure that you'll get, I can help you achieve your purpose. Krishna said, anyone who steals the wife of another person, that person I will kill. So Vali had usurped the wife of his brother. So he kidnapped, basically, the wife of his brother. So he said, anyone who kidnaps the wife of another person, I will kill that person. But Vali, was trying to make the point, well, why are you hiding behind a tree? Why you have your arrow ready to kill me? This is not fair. I'll help you achieve whatever you want to do. And I have nothing. I don't have an argument with you. I'll help you. In many different ways. But Krishna said, anyone who kidnaps the wife of another, I will kill that person. So this point about Valis is very interesting because many people get stuck on it. Why did Krishna kill Vali? He didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't his enemy. But
Rama.
What?
You were referring to Krishna, but it's same Rama and the.
Oh, Rama. I'm sorry. Yeah, Rama. Excuse me. Yeah, but Lord Rama was very strict. He said, like, he kidnapped somebody else's wife. And just like Rama's wife was kidnapped also. So he said, anyone that does that, I'll kill that person. So there are certain things in the Shastra that are absolutes. And that's one of them, that you have a right to kill a person who kidnaps your wife. You have a right to kill a person who sets fire to your house, and so forth. There's like 5 or 6 different things where it's legitimate to kill someone. Okay. So in this verse, it says, everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later he acted as a Brahmana, whereas Parasa. Anyway, the main point here is that In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of the material world do not apply. Well, the mundane Hindus would argue with that. They said, no. If you're born in Sudra, that's it. You're Sudra for the rest of your life. You can't change your
Go through.
go through. Yeah. See, now that's false. But somehow or other, due to speculation over a long period of time, that's become in some people's minds, absolute truth. You're born a Sudra, you're Sudra for the whole lifetime.
Mhm.
You have to wait till you die, and maybe then next life, maybe you can be better than a Sudra. But that's not the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It's not the philosophy of any consciousness.
Mhm.
That's just something made up by false gurus. How did that come into okay, let's get the elephant in the room on this point. How did that concept come into play?
The concept of
If you're born in one
caste, basically.
yes, that's it. You're stuck.
Yeah.
Basically, lust and greed.
The Brahmins basically
Yeah,
they wanted to
Brahmins,
control.
in order to have their kids.
Yeah. So
Even the
basically,
kid's a low class person still
Yeah.
is a Brahmana.
so it's basically, as I understood, I'll ask that question, but somewhere in the past, I think researched. So as the Buddhism was growing, now the Kshatriya and the Vaishyas are becoming Buddhists. Now they're rejecting the Vedic system, which means now the Brahmins will no longer be
Brahmin.
supported, right? Because they were dependent. I mean, the ideal Brahmins were dependent on either the Kshatriyas or Vaishyas in taking care of them. But now they are no longer supported. Now they had to have a way to live themselves, or like they have to have a way to protect their. So now they started saying, by birth, they wanted to give that control to their children. So that's one aspect I'll ask. And then I just also asked about the Wali episode, and so it's actually good. I mean, it's the same points that you described, but it just maybe added one or two other detail. So first, it said like the role of the Lord as the upholder of Dharma. So Lord Rama's mission on earth was to establish Dharma. As a king and as an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he had the authority to punish those who violated the principles of Dharma. His killing of Wali was in accordance to this divine duty. So that's number one. Number two is Wali's adharma. Wali had committed acts against Dharma by usurping his brother's Sugriva's wife and kingdom, violating moral codes and family ethics. And he also was using a boon that made him nearly invincible in combat. The boon drained half the strength of anyone who faced him in battle, making it impossible for Sugriva or anyone else to defeat him in a fair fight. Rama acted to correct this imbalance.
And so he killed him in an unfair way.
Unfair. So again, same thing in.
It was not unfair. Whatever the Lord does is not.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, whatever the same thing in Krishna does in Mahabharata War. Also, there are many things that maybe people might question, but I think in fact he tells the grandfather of Bhishma, because Bhishma was stuck on his following dharma in terms of the words, even though adharma was happening. He was thinking that following his word was the dharma, even though in front of his eyes only the adharma was there. Yeah, it's a heavy wind. Strong.
Heavy storm. Tonight. Some places power is already out.
Oh my goodness.
So, but it's
When you
very
hear that sound, it means there's like boxes flying through the air or something.
outside is very heavy noise now.
Yeah,
Trees are like
it's dangerous. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think whatever the Lord does is
It's
always
perfect.
perfect, because in the end, the dharma is upheld.
Yeah.
You know, most people are stuck on this definition of dharma and not the end result. And that's the mistake even Bhishma does. Because even though adharma was happening to Pandavas, adharma was happening to Draupadi right in front of his eyes, he thought that the dharma is just upholding his word. You know, in fact, Krishna teaches him that it is, in fact, it's better to break your lower dharma to protect the higher dharma. But in this case, he was stuck on following his
Who
word.
was stuck?
Bhishma.
Oh, this one.
That's how he got stuck with the Kauravas.
Mm.
And then the third thing, Vali's question and Rama's response. After being struck by Rama's arrow, Vali questioned the morality of being killed from behind a tree. Rama responded by explaining, as a king, he had the right to punish offenders of dharma. That's number one. Number two, Vali was acting like an animal by coveting his brother's wife and kingdom. And hence, Rama's actions were justified, as hunters typically confront animals in this manner.
Yeah, you performed a barbaric act,
Exactly.
kidnapping his own brother's wife.
Yeah. And then finally, it says it's a symbolic perspective. That is, Rama as the Lord's action is seen as a lesson that divine justice transcends human logic and is executed for greater good, even if it appears unconventional.
Well, if it's Krishna that's doing something, or Rama that's doing something, it can't be wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever a great man does, other people follow. And whatever standards he establishes becomes a standard of society. So Rama and Krishna, they're all the same person. Whatever they do is perfect. So we should simply follow what they do. We can't emulate what they do, but they establish the principles that we should follow.
The caste issue we see in Mahabharata times also. Karna was not allowed to fight, and also Draupadi declined Karna's proposal during her marriage. Such things were happening at that time also. Will people say that it is a caste issue?
Yeah. Look, there's always, mistakes that are being made, even in the best conditions. And the world is full of mistakes. Karna was a good guy, he wasn't a bad person. He was very, actually, he was very, let's say, generous person.
So here,
The only problem is he was jealous.
Jealous.
I ask the question, the elephant in the room. When did Brahmanas change the approach that one becomes a Brahmana by birth?
Yeah.
So the idea that one becomes a Brahmana by birth alone is a misrepresentation that evolved over time. Originally in the Vedic culture, Varna, the social order, was based on guna and karma, not simply birth. This is explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:13, where Lord Krishna explains Chaturvarna Maya Srishnam Guna Karma Vibhagashta. The four divisions of the human society were created by me according to the qualities and work. Historical evolution.
Not birth.
Not birth. Historical evolution. That is the first Vedic and early Upanishadic period. The Vedic system was purely merit-based. A person's varna depended on qualities, guna, and their actions, karma, rather than their birth. Texts like Chandogya Upanishad mention cases where individuals born into other varnas became Brahmanas due to their qualifications. Itihasas and Puranas. In Mahabharata, the story of Vidura or the sage Matanga, there were examples where individuals attained the status of a Brahmana despite being born in other varnas, reinforcing that it is based on conduct and knowledge. Gradual shift during post-Vedic period. Over time, especially during the later Smriti period, that is, example, Manusmriti, the rigidity of the caste system increased. Birth began to be emphasized, likely due to societal and political factors. However, even the Manusmriti contains passages suggesting that a Brahmana can lose their status by acting improperly and that others can rise to it by virtue of their actions. Reformist movements. Saints like Sage Vyasa, who was born out of a fisherwoman, and Sage Valmiki, who came from a hunter background, were revered as Brahmanas because of their spiritual achievements. Later reformers like Lord Buddha and Adi Shankaracharya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu emphasized spiritual realizations over birthright. Bhakti movement further challenged birth-based divisions by promoting devotion to God as the ultimate criterion for spiritual status. Modern era reformations. Figures like Swami Vivekananda and Bhakti Vinod Thakur reasserted the original Vedic idea that Varna being determined by qualities and actions, rejecting rigid birth-based system. So that's what it said basically, that the society.
Well, this one boy came to the sadhu, and he wanted to, surrender. And the sadhu said, "Well, tell me what your gotra is." The boy said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, go ask your mother." He goes to see the mother, and he says, "Well, what is our gotra?" The mother starts crying. He said, "I don't know. I was not leading a good life before." So the boy comes back. He's really, upset. And so the sadhu says, "So, what is your gotra?" He said, "Well, my mother says she doesn't know what the gotra, my gotra is. That means that, she's maybe having relationships with other men or something." So he said, "Okay, so I accept you as my disciple." And the boy's shocked. "Well, how can you do that?" He said, "You told the truth. That means you're a Brahmana." So, it's merit, the merit, not arbitrary, it's meritorious.
So there's these dynastic rules started causing this more of the birth-based. And then, so here it says.
So everybody wants their kid to be, part of the, the family tradition. So even if the kid is a low-class person, they still say he's a Brahmana.
Yeah. During the later Vedic and post-Vedic periods, ruling classes began consolidating power through hereditary systems. To maintain social and political stability, the notion of fixed varna based on birth gained prominence. Kings relied on Brahmanas as advisors and priests, creating a mutually beneficial alliance. And Brahmanas received patronage, and in return, they supported the ruler's legitimacy. This relationship helped entrench birth-based hierarchy. So they were getting, like Brahmanas were getting agraharams and lands that they would then be able to use for their living. Now, once they started accumulating more wealth than what they're supposed to have,
Mhm.
then automatically they agreed to protect them. The next generations came, and then they automatically started promoting their children as the Brahmins.
Selfishness,
Yes.
greed.
Krishna has given 4 social orders. At the same time, he has given 3 material modes also. But these things will never exist together. I mean, these 4 people are always subjected to material modes.
Yeah, but Krishna uh, says that we should rise above
Yeah.
the 3 modes.
But
Otherwise, we'll make too many mistakes.
so Sudras and other people, they won't easily understand that concept because they are mostly in ignorance and passion. So even if
No, but there's always possibility that a child has natural qualities of a Brahmana. So why should it be rubber stamped as Sudra?
but in the present situation, so the society is most of the people are in Sudra level.
Well, it's the Kali Yuga. Everybody's born as Sudra in Kali Yuga. But by education, they can be elevated to higher orders. By proper education. Not the junk education, but the education given by Srila Prabhupada and the Vaishnavas. I'm not born in a Brahmana. I'm born in a Malecha family. It's even worse than the Sudra. Yeah. And my family's eating meat every day. And doing all kinds of nonsense things. You know, so it's less than a Sudra. Sudra follows rules. But the Malechas and the Yavanas, they don't follow the rules. So I was in a Malecha family. But by Prabhupada's mercy, it's possible to get educated and avoid all that bad behavior and rise up to the level of Brahminical standard. But of course, the false Brahmanas, they say, no, 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 you know, next life, you have to wait till next life. Yeah, they believe, look, like you're born in America and you're born, you know, you've been a meat eater and you have to wait till your next life. Can't do it. Prabhupada never said that.
That was one of the biggest clarity I got, Maharaj, when I had started learning about Krishna consciousness.
Yeah.
Because because I was born in like Brahmin family, so we were like acting like what you have just described. Like, okay, we are like slightly superior than many people. But that was all misconceptions.
Well, it's they want to make everything hereditary, not meritorious. You have to be qualified to be a Brahmana. You can't just be born in a Brahmana family. It's like, you know, you can be born in a family where the father is a brain surgeon. That doesn't mean his son is automatically a brain surgeon, right? He's got to go to school and be trained like the father.
Yeah. There are higher chances for them to become that, but they still have to be qualified. They will be trained.
Yeah. You can't say, oh, my father's a brain surgeon, so I'm a brain surgeon. Nonsense. So the real education is to be educated to be a genuine Vaishnava. Then this whole idea of caste system sort of melts away, and it's by merit. It's not by, you know, what caste you were. It's not by birth. By, you know, your meritorious behavior. I mean, the caste system as it's practiced today has been one of the worst things in Hinduism. That's why so many people have left Hinduism. You know, they came up with the corrupt brahmanas came up with this idea that, you know, everything is based on your janma, your birth.
Yeah, not many people got converted to other religions.
Yeah.
And then they were
Still happening now.
Yeah.
Still happening now. A Hindu becomes a Christian, and Christians say, "Oh yeah, forget about, you know, caste and things like that." You know. But what's strange is, even in Christianity, they have caste system.
Mm.
You know, I mean, theoretically they don't, but I don't know. I guess it's the water or something. You know, and even in Islam also.
Yeah.
Yeah. They always, you know, when you go on Hajj, the rich guys always have, you know, the best seats and the best food and everything, and the poor guys, you know, they're there also, but they don't have all the amenities of the rich people.
It's not much different from racism. It's both are same.
It's prejudice, yeah. Yeah, well, even now, you know, you have people like Elon Musk, extremely rich, one of the richest persons in the world. So he associates with other very, very rich people, you know. And he says crazy things like, you know, we're going to have, you know, we're going to have habitation on Mars. He keeps talking about that.
Yeah.
But he hasn't done anything about it. You know, but he keeps talking about it. Talking nonsense, you know. No one's going to live on Mars. How can you live on Mars? It's a different atmosphere, completely different planet. And there's people on Mars. They're not going to let you just walk into Mars, you know. But we don't have the body to live on Mars. But he keeps talking about it. Building, you know, condos on Mars. Crazy people. He can't even control his sex. How is he going to build the, you know, make, you know, cities on Mars? It's crazy. You notice he hasn't done anything in that direction. He keeps talking about it, but never does it. Because he can't do it. It's impossible. And one time I was speaking to what's his name? Yeah, Jane,
Naveen Jain.
Naveen Jane. He was talking about, you know, going, you know, doing a space exploration. I said, Naveen, I said, Prabhu, you're never going to do it. He got upset with me. He didn't talk to me after that. But, you know, all the big talk he was making, he didn't even come close to putting a rocket in space. He built a rocket, but, you know, it always like fell down before it took, when they they ignited it, right? And instead of going up, it would fall down. There's pictures of that also. You can see it on the internet. You know, his so-called rocket that he built. It was a complete failure. But he was making big statements about, we're going to have this and that. So then he became smarter. See, he's a smart guy. Then he switched over to
Health company with the
his health thing. Yeah.
the
So you have to pass stool, and then he
analyzes the
analyzes the stool, and then he tells you what medicines you have to take. He gave me one of those boxes. I never even opened it. I still have it. But I don't hear much about it. Is it still doing that?
I think so. I don't know whether it is.
It was a thing that if you signed up for his program, it's $1,500 a month.
$1,500. Wow.
Yeah, it's not cheap. To what? Extend your life's lifespan.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would talk about, well, sooner or later, we're gonna have, death will be optional. If you want to live longer, you can live as long as you want. If you want to die, okay, you can die. It's optional. They're talking complete nonsense. Death is optional. It's never going to be optional.
Vyome Life Sciences.
They're still doing it, huh?
I think. And then there is the other one, Moon Express folded.
Oh my God.
That's the one that.
They're going to give you trips to the moon? I mean, they can go like 100 miles up into the air, but they're not going to go to the moon. Nobody's going to go to the moon.
Jane published a book called The Youth Formula, where he shares insights from Vyome's research on personalized healthcare, emphasizing that aging and chronic diseases can be significantly managed through data-driven and individualized approaches.
That's what he's doing?
Yeah.
That's his company?
Yeah. Like Vyome, but it's like Vyome.
Well, I'm sure a lot of idiots will sign up for it.
Vyome achieves this by analyzing samples such as stool, saliva, and blood from at-home test kits. Its technology examines gene expression, the microbiome, and other biomarkers to determine how food and lifestyle affect the individual's health. By interpreting this data, Vyome creates a custom dietary and supplemental plans to optimize gut health, reduce inflammation, and overall wellness. Improve overall wellness.
Yeah, Naveen. Well, it's better than going to the moon. I told him I was sitting down once with him talking to him about going to the moon. I said, Naveen, you're never going to go. He didn't like that, but he gave up. Right? So now he got into something that's a little more reasonable. But even this thing, what he's saying, you can make life option with death optional. It's complete nonsense. No, it's not true. So how's this company doing?
That's the next question.
Huh?
That is the next question I'm checking.
He gave me the box, and in that box, you have to pass stool and something, then they give it to them, so they analyze your stool. I never give him. I never did it. Because if you get into his program, it's $1,500 a month.
No. This is where Cal is working now.
Yeah, he was working for him. I couldn't believe it. Naveen came up to me. I was at this program recently.
Yeah.
He was all excited. He came up to me and said, Cal's working for me. He said,
Yeah. Mm. He's recruit. Yeah.
Naveen was a devotee here.
no, his wife is more of a devotee than he is. And no, he's not a devotee, but he's sometimes he's generous.
So he's afraid. Going back to
See,
your.
he's a Jain, so he doesn't drink alcohol. He's got a clean diet because he's a Jain, strict vegetarian.
Mm.
So a lot of Jains get rich because they follow regulative principles.
Mm.
Not all Jains, but there are a lot of Jains that they usually have good karma. So he's one of those Jains that has good karma.
Okay.
All right, all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hopefully the storm doesn't cause power outage for us to continue. to
Yeah,
monitor.
the power goes up, creates a lot of problems.
Hare Krishna. We'll see
How
you.
many trees have to fall down until there's no more trees left? That way, there's no more trees to fall down and knock out the wires.
Yeah. Whereas the first time itself, the fence fell on the other side. We had in between one small wind again. And then one of the panels fell on this side. But there's still four more that is on the other side. We don't know how many will fall tonight. Okay. Hare Krishna, any questions, comments online?
No, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Haribol,
Thank you.
thank you.